So I'm Cheryl Musgrave. I'm a Vanderburgh County Commissioner. We're down here in southwestern Indiana. We are nestled in right above Kentucky and one county short of Illinois. So we're manufacturing and we're farmland. We're town and we're country. So we have over 60,000 people who live in the unincorporated county, and 117,000 who live inside the city of Evansville. Broadband Ready was an initial step for Vanderburgh County, and we took it way back in November of 2019. What it did, though, is it brought our community to an awareness that our permitting processes were taking too long. Broadband Ready required a 10-day permitting process and a single point of contact. This was a little challenging to get through our local bureaucracy, but once they understood what we were trying to do, we came up with a great system that has worked essentially flawlessly since then. Another thing that was a requirement then that I don't believe is a requirement now was the tax exemption. We initiated a tax exemption for any new telecom investment that supported broadband in our entire county, and that's in perpetuity. It sends a huge message to folks who are willing to invest in your community. They know you're open for business, and they know that they're not going to be punished, that is taxed, for doing so. We focused our attention on just how hard this problem was to solve. We had to overcome hurdles of people thinking, well, the private sector's just going to do this for you. Well, the private sector's going to chase where the dollars are. And in this beautiful country that you see over my shoulder, the dollars for broadband are not there. This requires government support and government incentive. We were lucky that we had an organization called that met every Monday, and still meets every Monday, that processes permits. And so we were able to put it there with the permits. But you also had to convince all your local elected officials. And what you had to convince them of is that the private sector wasn't going to do this all by themselves. You need to get moving, and you need to get moving right now today. I would say get some expert advice, but for example, our expert advice here in Vanderburgh County came from first, our economic development team, who had just a wonderful staff person who devoted herself to educating all of us and then helping us apply for grants. And that was part of our normal economic development opportunities. So if you have that in your community, you don't probably have to look any further than that. But then we hired a local engineering company, truly a local engineering company, who has developed the expertise and is helping us guide through all the application processes for doing the RFPs that we've done. And we're going to do another one here shortly. And also to deal with the problems on the ground. So you're going to need to have a point person on staff, and ours is contractual, the same engineering company that I was telling you about, that solves these phone calls and tense conversations that homeowners can have with you about the disruption of laying wires in the ground or stringing them along right-of-way, county right-of-way. So you're going to have a long-term relationship with your expert, and you will need to have communication with homeowners and the media as this rolls out. Local officials today are confused. They see a lot of broadband money coming from the federal government to the state. They got local American Rescue Plan Act funding, and sometimes you can get paralyzed by indecision, thinking that, well, I shouldn't take this opportunity because there'll be a better one around the corner. So I do want to emphasize, it's later than you think. Take the funding that you have right now and get this problem solved to the extent that you can with the funding that you have. I don't think that there's ever going to be another tsunami of funding like this. And there's no easier funding source than the American Rescue Plan Act to put to this? You know, I told you we're right next to Kentucky. Well, our fiber rollout plan here for unincorporated Vanderburgh County is significant. So significant that we're upsetting the officials in Kentucky. Here, let me quote this. This is their version of a county commissioner. He's saying, "We lose potential Kentuckians. We lose homeowners across the river to Evansville and Vanderburgh County in Indiana because they've been able to roll out their internet services faster." That's just the way it is. You can't keep the kids in the living room because they don't have the fiber to play the games. You can't keep the family in the home to do their business over the internet, whether it's business of farming, like you see over my shoulder. You can't do telehealth medicine, so you can't have your sick kids stay in bed while you're consulting with the nurse because you don't have broadband, and your cell phone speeds are simply not fast enough to bring health care into your home to take care of the people who need it right then and there. Every single aspect of our community, from a Ring doorbell with security to ordering your food to be delivered at home, is being governed by how fast your internet is. So to a county official who's thinking, well, I don't need to lay out this incentive and perhaps we can wait and see if there's a better funding source later, you really can't. You need to really get up to speed, and then you need to pursue this as though it's the most important thing on your county's agenda. Because I'm going to tell you, other than water and electricity, broadband is the most important thing that we have to solve for our whole communities, whether you're rural or not. Without broadband, your community will continue to suffer population loss, and you will not be able to attract industry or investment to keep your young people at home for the foreseeable future.